All right, so what I've got here is just a simple months ago time adjustment where I've created the months going back. They're down here, and I'm going to use the price per land square foot as the y-axis. And under the logarithmic equations selection, this is what I get. I get this curve. So what I've done is I've manipulated the data, put it over here, and here's the price per land square foot. Here is the months ago. And it's the same regression. I did check it. This is from the website. This is the equation you get. It's ordered different, but this is the equation you get from Excel. So it's a good thing that they both come out the same. It adds validity to what we're doing. So in this particular case, when I say min max, I'm going to start doing some calculations. I'm always using the x-axis for the min. The min is right here, and the max would be 49 and a half months. Our minimum is 1.9 months. So min max, including down here, relates to the x-axis. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this. This is just an interim calculation to get the log. It's just this part of the equation so that I take the natural log of 1.9 and the natural log of 49.5, and then the final calculation is done here. So the y value at 49.5 is 18.6 basically. If you come along here, it's 18.6. The y value at 1.9 up here is 33.78. So you can visually see that those look correct. The next step that is taken is that uh, we use the min and max uh, taken from the x. These are the calculated amounts that we did right here. And we create a linear regression out of those. So we're just creating this linear regression. And for our purposes, all we're doing is calculating the slope. So the goal here is to give the user some flexibility in determining a time adjustment. And the way they would do that is that they would decide on a value along the y-axis that gives us this slope, this desired slope. So assume for a moment that the user does not like this curve, believes this is temporary, and this part of the curve is just going to continue on, and that's the time adjustment they want to use. Well, they would choose about 25, and it would move this line down here and allow that time adjustment on a linear basis just to continue on forever. And if they decided that it was somewhere in the middle, they might choose 30 and say, okay, there's going to be going on into the future a little bit of an increase in value due to time, but not all the way up to this very top peak. And obviously, if they wanted that, they would just say, okay, I believe that this is going to go on forever at this higher rate. So the long of the short of it is this linear line is what we are going to use for the time adjustment. And if I go back to what I demonstrated before, you'll notice that uh, it's negative because it's going down. It's 0.13466 per month. If I were to do that over a 30-year period, more or less I was adjusting from this point here at 30 to 0 up here, then it would be roughly a 4% adjustment. Now, because it's a downward slope, it's negative, we adjust the sales to the subject. So if I'm adjusting one of these at 30 to 0, I would just remove the negative sign. I would be adjusting this upward, adding 4%. So that's what I'm after, Jacob. I'm after the ability to overlay regressions onto the same chart and let the user visually see how they're creating this linear time adjustment from, in this case, a logarithmic curve. And keep in mind that this is doing what you would expect it to do, meaning older sales are lower, but certainly every situation exists that sometimes the older sales are higher, and this curve or this slope will be in the opposite direction. So we have to always take into account that we cannot predict under every circumstance what the data is going to show us. So that's the time adjustment that I'd like to have. And obviously, in the training video, I'll explain all of this to the user. But for technology purposes, I'm looking for a linear slope overlaid on a curvilinear regression, whether it's logarithmic or power or exponential. Let me know if that works for you, and we'll talk to you later.